So what is up? We're back with another episode today of Mainly Celtics, of course. And we have just looks like me and Nolan on. Emery may or may not be joining us. We're not sure if he's awake. But we had 4 games this week. Yep, starting from last Sunday, we gave you the line for the Raptors Celtics game. We had that game. Then we had 76ers Celtics Jazz. They played the Jazz on, what was it, Friday, 2 nights ago. And then last night they played the Portland Trailblazers. So any overarching thoughts on the week before we get into the game recaps?
I wanted to bring up Enes Freedom with the official name change. I'm not sure if you guys hinted at that last week's episode, but I think it's pretty cool. And it's funny to me just looking at these box scores, seeing that they already switched the name. Reminds me of Ron Artest.
Yeah. And we haven't seen one. I completely forgot about Ron Artest Meta World Peace, like that one. Cause I was like, when was the last time someone just changed their name in the middle of their career?
It's kind of interesting that both the name changes were sort of around, good, simple qualities. Like Meta's was to world peace and now Enes is to freedom. I didn't really put that together either, but I'm kind of guessing he took some inspiration from him.
Well, there's also World Be Free, who played much earlier, but I
he
think
was
he's
before
same
Ron,
idea.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, it was much before. I think World Be Free played in the 80s, I believe. I could look that up, but no, the name change is certainly interesting. I'm tired of hearing Enes talk though. I don't know if you've heard it. He went on, what was it, Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, he's been on a
and
couple.
It's just he's been on a couple, and it's just I think, and Jan Packard pointed out, I think on Not Here to Argue, he was like, I just think Enes is a media whore. I don't think he is politically leaning really one way or the other. He just wants any attention he can get, and I think right now it's mostly the Republican side's giving it to him, so he's just feeding into it. But no, he has some pretty interesting takes. I don't know.
I think his message is more good than bad for sure. And it's cool that he's promoting America, but he's definitely just reaching on to whatever media outlet will give him the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole I don't think we talked about the comments he made about his playing time being. He had a conversation with Ime to make sure his playing time was strictly about basketball.
Yeah,
they made the comment that. Yeah, and it's okay, starting Rob Williams was out. That's why you were started playing. It wasn't because
you wore those.
Ime had a problem with your politics. Yeah, it wasn't because he had a problem with your politics. It was
especially with Rob and Al playing so well. I always have liked Enes even with his previous stint, just because he's the putback machine, boards, but he's just so bad on defense, and he obviously knows that.
A lot of times you look at a box score and you're like, wow, he played really, he's one where you have a lot of guys like Marcus Smart's obviously one we talk about where his impact isn't measured by a box score. And this is kind of the opposite, where his impact is always kind of, it always seems a lot greater than what it actually is, because usually he scores 4 points and has 10 rebounds. And it's because he just put back his own miss 3 straight times. He's really just good at grabbing offensive rebounds. Right. And he gets exposed on the defensive end, which usually doesn't show up in the box score than in say plus minus.
Yeah, that's actually a good point about last night's game. Not to jump ahead, but he really didn't play incredible and had 9 points and 15 rebounds.
No, that's just what he does though. He's just very good at getting rebounds. You're right. That does help. That is something that's helpful. But a lot of times it's offensive rebounds, and a lot of times his offensive rebounds are off his own miss.
Right.
So that's where he's really kind of padding the stats a little bit. But
all right, let's jump into Toronto.
He's not a bad third center to have. Yeah,
no,
we definitely should. We can talk about kind of the Portland game stuff later. Toronto, solid overall game. This was kind of a weird game where we had, I feel good contributions from pretty much everyone on the team. I don't think there was a single person that I'd pick out as really being the star of the show, but we got 21-point performance from Marcus Smart this game. Yeah, 21 from Marcus, 16 from Jalen, 17 from Al, 15 from Grant, 18 from Josh.
Yeah, this was the game I was flying back from Maine to NC. And I got a text from my dad the next morning. I was so tired from that trip to Maine. I fell asleep at like 6, but there was a text from my dad that said Tatum 8 points on 16 shot or on 2 for 16 shooting. So I just that was what I woke up to. I'm like, oh, the Celtics lost. So then to check that they won by 12 with Tatum playing that miserably, I was like, damn. Someone must have
credit to
stepped
Tatum.
up.
They did Toronto's defense was take away Tatum, trying to get the paint, let the other guys shoot, and it worked really well. But Tatum was dishing it. He had 10 assists. I was very impressed with him, not trying to continue to force his own shot. I was pretty mad because the prop I had double-double, which obviously had 8 points and 10 assists. So he just needed 2 more points. He blew a pretty open layup to end the game, to near the end of the game as well. And the over-under rebounds was at 7.5, and he finished with 7. So just an absolute brutal day for me. Just watching the end of that game, just knowing, and he had those for the last 4 minutes. He had 8 points and 7 assists.
It's funny you take that double-double prop thinking the points is a given and he'll probably get the rebounds, and then for the assists to be the one category that's double digits.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. Is he can get I remember someone was gonna have to step up. I knew someone was gonna have a big rebounding day. I was really debating whether or not I was gonna be Jason Tatum or Al. I believe Al had a lot of rebound. Yeah, Al had 11 because Rob was out, and because Toronto has been going small. They didn't go small this game because I think someone was out, but they had been going small with a lot of lineups with Pascal Siakam playing center, and so I was really expecting them to have one of those two to have a big rebounding day. It was Al. I think his prop was 6.5, and he finished with 11. But just to get that close and miss, it really sucks. But overall, I was pretty impressed with the overall game from the Raptors. It was a game we needed to win after having maybe a pretty shaky week last week, and coming out and getting the dub was nice.
Freedom with 9 points, 10 boards, a block, and a steal. That's actually a nice little performance out of Freedom.
Was it really though? Because I don't really remember him playing. I really would. Yeah, he had a good stretch. 3
for 3 from the line and no turnovers is probably more impressive than the 10 rebounds.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the Raptors had as their backup big this game. Then, if I don't think they had anyone. Yeah, I think that was probably part of the reason. Yeah, I don't know who on this team. Yeah, they didn't play any other big man.
They didn't even play a center.
No, I mean they had Precious. Precious is a center, but
ESPN.
Other than Precious, I don't know. Yeah, I forgot this game. The Raptors were really down a lot of guys, but other than Precious, they had no big man that could rebound. So it was easy feeding for Enes. He's going to dominate those small matchups, especially if they can't make it pay by hitting threes or scoring on pick and rolls. But
every time I watch the Raptors, I'm like, man, I wish we could have somehow got Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, he looked really good. I always say this. I've loved OG for a while now too, because he's just kind of, you can really play him anywhere and fit him next to any kind of player, because he's super he's a good defender, and everything else he's decent at. He can do a little bit of everything, and I really like that in a player. He didn't play in that game, but I really do enjoy watching him play most of the time. And and Scotty Barnes is almost seems to be not a carbon copy, because Barnes seems to be much less of a shooter than OG is, but still they're both very versatile players that can do a lot of things with basketball and on the defensive end.
So good to pick up a win in Toronto with Tatum not shooting great.
And then we came back and we got a huge win against the Sixers.
What was
2 nights later?
Drove down for that game. He took one of his employees one of his boss actually that had never been to a game. But I remember thinking first Garden experience would be great against the Sixers. The Garden gets loud for Embiid and Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, this was an absolute rock fight. This is what was it, early 2000s Pistons basketball, kind of
defensive,
low scoring game. Did anything really stand out to you from this game?
I mean, I remember thinking like Tatum's coming off that. I was really mad about that shooting in the Raptors game, even though he facilitated well. So good to see him. I mean, 26 on 20 shots is pretty efficient, but 16 rebounds for Tatum. Like when Tatum and Brown are getting
Yeah.
up over 6, 7, 8 boards, it's just a game changer to have your, guard and forwards doing that.
Yeah. And of course, like he hits the double and has 16 rebounds against a Philadelphia team right after the night I don't bet on him. But my biggest takeaway was just how well Al played defensively on Embiid. I know Embiid's coming back from, I'm pretty sure he's coming back from like having COVID, right? I think that's why
Yeah,
he's
he
out
was
for a
out
little
for a
bit.
few games.
Yeah, and like whatever the reason though, like Al's always played him super well, and it continued even though Al's getting a little bit older. But having him out there was very nice. He's obviously been one of the better guys you can put on Embiid because what Al does, like he's a big enough body but moves his feet well, doesn't jump at his pump fakes, which is huge.
That's what I was gonna say. Al is just so like fundamentally sound on defense, even though he's not super fast, but the pump fake thing stood out to me. And then just
Yeah,
like the positioning. I even saw him like pull the chair out from under him once or twice, and he didn't like fall to the ground, but it kind of threw his balance off. Like Al is just so smart. And I think
yeah, he's a
Embiid tried to just kind of overpower him because obviously he is bigger, and it just didn't have a huge effect.
yeah. No, Al's always played him great, and he continued to play him great. I believe he was 3 for 17 shooting. Embiid was, which
Yep.
anytime you do that to Embiid, like he's always been the one to kill us in the past. And usually it's because like last year, like I love Rob to death, but Rob's not a guy that plays very well against Joel Embiid for the most part. Um, he pump fake. I mean, Rob's gotten a lot better at this year, but in years past, jumping at pump fakes, which is something that obviously Embiid's going to give you the whole bag every single time he gets in the
Right.
post. He and
That just
Tyson Thompson would hack him and get him to the line. He'd have like 20 something free throws every single game we played against him. So
That really
it's
speaks
huge
to Al's
not doing that.
defense because if you think like size and speed, even throw age in there, Rob should be a better matchup. He's bigger, faster.
Well, Rob's a little bit smaller than Al. Al's like 6'10", 250, 240, and I think Rob's like
Really?
6'8", 230. Yeah.
I
Rob's really
always
not that
thought
big. He
Rob
just has a
weighed more.
massive wingspan.
Yeah.
Now I think they're about the same weight, but I know Rob's shorter with a massive wingspan. I think Al is a little bit heavier.
Yeah, it's saying Rob's
Um,
like 6'9", 240.
yeah, I think he's like 6'9", 6'8", and then Al's like 6'10", and I think Al's a little bit bigger weight wise. Maybe not though. I don't know. I think he's physically stronger either way.
Right.
But no, I mean a lot of it playing with Embiid though just to be smart because where he makes his killing most of the time is like obviously he's a physical beast, but just not fouling him. Like if he is able to get to the line, he's able to make a killing at the line. So not being able to foul him, being smart and not getting your better centers in foul trouble so you can pick on like backup centers. Like that's really a huge key.
I'm trying to remember, did Embiid was Horford coming out on those threes and the deep jumpers? Because I know watching Embiid in other games this year, it's like obviously he's great in the post, but when the jump shots are hitting, that's when he's really tough to stop. I
I
mean,
think
I see he went 1 for 3 from
yeah,
the
he
three.
was contesting, but at the same time, like once again, credit to Al, like he was playing him well, where he wasn't over contesting when he was out of position for those threes, because that's where he also makes a big killing. Is he like once again up fake, gets the guy trying to close out on him, he cuts to the basket and then gets an easy dunk or gets fouled or something like that. And Al's really good at kind of like forcing him because a lot of times he would just up fake and then he'd kind of stop and then he'd try and back him down. But no, that was great performance out of Al, who just had an incredible week, like overall, like even
Yeah.
scoring wise, just defensively, like rebounding the basketball. Like Al was doing it all this week, aside from the Portland game that he didn't play in. But
And then Dennis had 13 off the bench, which doesn't sound like a ton, but he was the second high scorer. And you kind of talked about how this was like some of the old school hoops. 13's like 20, 25 when you compare it to like this Portland game last night.
or even like the Jazz game we're about to talk about. I mean, yeah, Dennis is huge. I would love our whole lineup to be like whole again, so we could have him off the bench, because having him as bench scoring and letting him kind of like, like control the bench offense and create his own shot, and just be able to go out and get you like 20 points. Like that's huge having him.
Huge.
Because we've noticed the games we've struggled is like the bench plus minus has been like awful because they can't create any offense.
So then is the Jays, Al and Rob and Marcus the starting five you like to see, and then Dennis off?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I was a little hesitant with the. I would like a little bit more shooting, but I don't think anyone you're going to replace with, like, other than like Grant. But at the same time, I want really Grant the starting lineup over any of those guys. It's not ideal shooting wise, but it's the best we really have by far.
And we still
gives
got
our
to
lineup a lot of size.
We still got to monitor Grant's threes with caution. I mean, he's looking like the second.
I don't know,
right
dude.
now,
I'm starting to believe it, especially in the corner. Like outside of the corner, I don't really trust it. But like I said, that was my big key for Grant. I was like, he just needs to be able to hit open shots, because he's gonna get open shots. Teams are not going to defend him. And if they do start to defend him, he doesn't need to shoot. He can be one of those guys that only shoots twice a game, and as long as he's drawing that defender out and like leaving the paint open for the Jays, like he's doing his job. So
it's kind of like that Shemi role on offense, and Shemi just wasn't quite hitting them enough.
No, Shemi was hitting like 34% of them wide open. So that's like they were leaving him open and he wasn't making him pay. At least Grant, they're leaving him open and he's making them pay, which is huge.
This is a little of a throwback, but someone was when we played the Bucks. I remember being so mad that someone was jumping at Semi's pump fakes, because I'm like, guys, we know he can't.
He's going to hit like a third of them.
But that's like a huge win against the Sixers in our, conference or division. And I don't know, there's just a little rivalry with this Jays era versus Embiid. It's nice to pull an ugly win out there.
Yeah, whatever gets the job done. And then we finally got some offense back in the following game against the Jazz.
So tough going to Utah. I mean, they're so sound defensively. You kind of have to hope like Spida's having an off night, even though we did torch them. That game was tough.
Their defense isn't actually like this year isn't their strength. Like they're number 6 in defense. Like obviously still a very good defense because they have Rudy Gobert, but they're number 1 in offense. And I think they're top of the league in like pace. Like they like to get out and run. And this was a weird game because like I thought we played really well. Like there's nothing I can really complain about too much about this game. Like they just hit really so many threes.
Mm-hmm. That late, I think it was the late 3 by Donovan with like Al right in his grill. It's just kind of one of those ones where you're like, all right, he hit the shot. We made it tough on him.
Well, even early on, like I think it's literally like the first possession of the game. The Celtics played incredible defense. Got like Donovan Mitchell like 4 foot behind the line. Like literally had to catch a pass 4 feet behind the line, just hucked one up and made it. Like they're just making him fall. I think out of the threes, I think 41 of the 51 were contested. So it wasn't like we were playing bad defense. Like we were closing out and like getting decent contests on most of these shots. It just Mike Conley was like unconscious from 3.
Yeah.
And it was just tough. Like we played well. We were getting a lot of steals. Like we got a lot of transition points. We didn't really turn the ball over a ton this game. It was just they kept hitting threes and we couldn't stop that. So I don't really have too many complaints about this game. It just sucks we can't get the win.
Yeah, I thought they played really well too. I mean, they scored 130. Tatum had 37. Schroeder with
we had a good game out of Schroeder. Rob didn't really play Rob didn't play well at all. That was the only really negative I had. I don't think Rob played very well in this game. And that was part of it. They were running. They were I think just having Al in there seemed a lot more beneficial than having Rob in there most of the time, a little bit smaller.
The Bogdanovich Ingles 1-2. I know Jingles is getting a little old, but those have always been 2 players that I wish the Celtics could have, just that sharp shooter. And it's so frustrating playing a team that has Bogdanovich, Ingles, and Mitchell. I mean, how many just those
Mitchell's
3
having
guys
a down year this year.
Who is?
Mitchell, like percentage-wise, like he's had career high for like attempts and threes, but he's having a career low in like 3-point percentage.
Huh. He hit 6 against us, but I guess it was 6 for 14.
I mean, that's still really good. That's still like about 50%, like just a tad under 50%.
Between 4 players, they hit 23s. Bogdanovich, Mitchell, Conley, and Ingles. That's just like
it's just tough. Like they were just hitting, like everyone was hot this game. So that's just really tough to beat a team when everyone's cooking.
I'd have to look, but that might be Mike Conley's best offensive game in years.
Yeah, like probably about a decade.
29, 7 and 4 on 7 for 7 from 3. That might be a career night for him.
Yeah, that was like he was just really good. Like he was balling. And then we have the Portland Trailblazers game. I will
say on Utah real quick, the line was +8. So for the C's Nation that took the spread, the Celtics were able to dramatically get it done by 1 point.
Yeah.
All right, we can go to Portland.
Yeah, so Portland. We had Al out last night, and we had Jalen out last night. And despite that, we were able to get the win, 145-117. Our offense really played great, which was really good to see. I mean, Portland's never been a very good defensive squad. And one of the moves that I really saw them actually played it quite a bit, but like Larry Nance really hasn't played a huge role for them like I thought he was going to. I really liked the addition when they got him. But this team really needed defense. Larry Nance is a good defender. And I feel like they're not utilizing him very well at all.
Yeah, they're giving a lot of time to Powell and Covington. I don't dislike either of them, but I agree. Nance is young, and I like him as well.
I want the Celtics to really get him
either, which is important.
Oh, that was huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was huge. I probably should have mentioned that one first.
But still, I mean, CJ and Nurk, and I was a little worried because Portland's better than their record. And anytime you're going on the road on these West Coast road trips and you're facing a team that needs a win, like it's just worrisome in general. So I didn't have a great feeling going into this one. I mean, Dame is out, but we didn't have Rob or Jalen, right? Or no, Al and Jalen. Those kind of even last night.
Yeah, I feel like those do. Like, and Dame's not like he's setting the world on fire this year. It certainly doesn't really hurt their defense too much not being able to play Dame.
Right.
Yeah,
so
this team just
for Jalen, or excuse me, Tatum and Dennis.
We had a huge Peyton Pritchard game.
That's what I was going to say. That made me so happy. 5 threes, 19 points in 18 minutes. Obviously, it's because we were smoking him.
He did most of his damage. Yeah, he did most of his damage when the game was over, but still really nice to see. He's a local guy. He's from the Portland area, so it was cool to see him get to kind of go off. I'm sure there's many of his like friends and family were in attendance for this game.
Oh, right, Oregon.
That was good. Nesmith got some playing. Yeah. Jesus.
I totally spaced how we played the Blazers.
Now Pritchard, Nesmith got some run, which was good to see. He got to shoot a little bit, hopefully get some confidence. Even when he hasn't been very consistent all year, Nesmith, but still I just enjoy watching him because like he just does bring that energy. Like when he comes in and plays, he always gives 100%, it's just nice to see, especially in games where we really need a spark. He just provides a lot of energy.
I like watching him too. We had a game a few years ago where Vanderbilt came and played UNCW. That's where I'm at school for the viewers that probably already know. But I just remember I didn't really know who he was at the time, but he probably hit like 8 threes on UNCW and just torched. I mean, Vanderbilt's a big school for us to be playing, or big basketball program for us to be playing. So it was a blowout, but I was really happy when they drafted him because I'd seen him. He shot insane in college.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like he made like something crazy, like 50% of his threes, like his sophomore season, or like something absurd. He only played like half the year because he got injured, and that was one of the things like I was giving him a little slack on too. Like he had a lot longer layoff than like a lot of the college prospects did because like he was injured, so he like didn't have that time, like that extended season. He had like more time off. He was recovering from injury. And that's why I'm so glad like him and Romeo finally got a summer to like actually like put in work, and they both like did everything they needed to this summer. It stinks that Neesmith hasn't been able to translate it into regular season games this year, but at least Romeo has, which is good to see. A lottery pick really kind of starting to live up to what we hoped he'd be.
So some shooting splits for the Celtics that game: 56 from the field, 57 from three, and 90 from free throw. I mean, we're gonna win when we shoot like that, period.
Yeah, when you're shooting like 50, 40, 90 as a team, it'd be very hard to lose a game like that.
Yeah.
One thing also, Romeo did not play in this game, and he was injured in the Jazz game, which is weird because got injured. He played for like a couple more minutes, and then they took him out at halftime, and like he stayed out.
Hopefully, it's just a precautionary thing.
Yeah, I feel like it. I don't know. There's a lot of precaution with Romeo. He seems like a very fragile boy.
Right.
He rolled his ankle. Like that's all it was. It looked like he probably just sprained his ankle pretty good. He was looking really good in that first half of the Utah game, like defensively and offensively. I think he had like I'm sorry, I'm going back to the Utah game, but I just like to point out when Romeo does well.
Yeah, I like Romeo too.
I like Romeo a lot. Him and Rob were the guys that really staked claims in. Really didn't give up on them early on. No, overall just solid game, great offensive game. Defense not really a concern. Like they played clearly well enough defensively. And it's like when you're just cooking, it's not like you really need the defensive focus like you do when you were playing a team like Philly and your offense isn't going. When your offense is turning all cylinders and you're shooting the lights out, the defensive intensity doesn't need to be as high. So
Portland
they do what they need to do.
Play at a very high pace as well. More shots.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice Schroeder had 31 points, but also 8 assists. So my big guy right now is Dennis. He's killing it for us.
Yeah, if he gets more if he winds up playing on the bench more, I know he's had a lot of starts this year, but if he can he should have a serious case for sixth man of the year. Like he's been huge. I think the only requirements you need to come off the bench more games than you start.
So I
think that's the only requirement so he should be able to do it if the team can finally get healthy.
So Tuesday, one more thing. Head to LA.
We do. We play the Lakers not originally, but I thought LeBron was probably going to be out for this game because that was going to be the 9th day of his 10-day quarantine. Apparently, it was a false positive, so he's able to return.
I don't know if we want to talk about that, but
oh my god, I have that video. That video is yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk about LeBron.
I saw something where the NBA was saying he'd somehow been tested 8 times in 2 days. It's like, what?
That doesn't even make any sense.
They were pushing him through the protocol. Whatever. I mean, I'm not mad about it.
I know it was one of those things that I knew when the bubble happened. It's like if LeBron get COVID, they just shut down the whole season, the bubble year.
Yeah.
But
that should be fun. Back-to-back night. We got Lakes, Clips.
Yeah, it's nice because no traveling, which is always ideal. For if you're on a road trip to limit the travel, because I know that's what players are usually complaining about. So you can stay in a hotel and just relax.
Right.
One more thing from the Portland game is Portland fired their GM, Neil Oshie, I think his name was, and one of the candidates that came out for a potential replacement was actually Danny Ainge. A lot of people have linked back. So I believe Ainge is an Oregon native, originally from Oregon. Obviously, he's been a GM in the league for many years. So they're thinking about hiring. It seems like he's getting a lot of buzz as the replacement. If that happens, maybe he can do us a favor. Maybe he wants to get Pritchard and Neesmith, the last guys that he had a chance to draft, and kind of take them back and maybe for in exchange for Dame. That seems pretty fair to me.
Seems pretty fair to me too. But I'm sure it's down to if Danny is willing to do it. I'm sure the Portland would be. I mean, I think any NBA team would take Danny.
Yeah. The biggest thing with Danny, it seemed like.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
Okay, I was just
You
gonna
go.
say when we made the switch to Ime at head coach and Brad went to GM, I liked it, but it's like I really like Danny at GM, and I like Brad at the coach too. So it's like, yeah, I like both these new positions, but at the same time, I mean, Danny Ainge is the greatest GM of all time, in my opinion.
That's a little bit. I mean, I'd probably
Or
say
for the NBA.
I don't know. I'd definitely say I think Jerry West has been better over the years because he kind of helped assemble the Warriors and the Clippers, and he assembled another team before that. And then there's also the guy that was his name, the Bulls guy, the one that had them. Jerry Krause, is that his name?
Maybe it was a bold statement. One of the
Yeah,
best,
I mean
but
they've won.
we're
I mean he's
still
won one championship.
we're still reaping the benefits of some of those trades. And I believe still the only time in NBA history that assets have been given in return for a coach was Doc Rivers. And
I don't know
Doc
what we wound up
Rivers,
getting out of that though.
we got picks.
I don't think any of them resulted in anything. So all like Jalen and Tatum and them, they were all the Brooklyn picks.
Right, which was also incredible by Danny moving
Yeah,
big
but I
three
mean you
out
can
of their
make the
prime.
yeah. I mean that was a smart move, obviously, but it hasn't led to a direct like championship. So it's like
Not yet.
he does make smart moves, but you can't really call him like the greatest GM of all time if you're only winning one championship when there's guys that have consistently built championship teams like over the
Yeah,
years.
I'll take that back. But I guess just in our lifetime, I mean, we've been very happy with what Danny's
Yeah, I
done
mean,
for us.
yeah, I'm not going to complain. I think he's definitely I would consider him a good GM for sure. I think his biggest problem over the last couple of years has been, I think he kind of made other GMs look dumb, like he did with the net situation. So I think a lot of GMs were tentative in making trades with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking that he was going to try and like shaft him somehow. Like the Isaiah Thomas thing, obviously, like where I think his hip injury, they were aware of it, but I guess it was worse. And I don't know, maybe that rubbed a few GMs the wrong way. But either way,
that was
we got
a
the win. So we're
anyway.
Yeah, we're 3-1 on the week. So that was obviously a good week. Excited heading into next week, winning against LA. LA is certainly not a. I mean, we looked really good against them last time. So if we can have that again, that'd be huge.
We have quite the insanely difficult stretch coming up. Lakers, Clippers.
Yeah, December was a gauntlet when I like.
Yeah, Bucks.
Yeah, because don't we? Yeah, we play the Bucks on Christmas, don't we? Or we play Philly on Christmas?
Play the Bucks on Christmas, but we also play them the 13th.
Yeah, so I know it was just gauntlet. Like when
we've got 10 games
like yeah. Greeny kind of tweeted about the schedule in like December. He was like, they need to have a winning record going to December because this is going to be an absolute make or break point of the season. And usually Christmas is like when you truly see like a real picture of like what the NBA season is looking like. So hopefully they can go on a little bit of a run heading into December or heading into January.
It would be so big to start with a win against both the LA teams. As I look at this schedule, they feel like the easier of the games coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, Phoenix, the Bucks are tough. The Warriors are just in God mode right now.
I mean, Phoenix and the Warriors are both looking like unstoppable right now. I think their only two like recent losses for either team have been against each other. So
right. I can't wait.
You hope that they have to give a guy a night off.
Yep.
What'd you say?
All right. So big week coming up. I said I can't wait for Clay to be back.
Oh yeah. I know. He's looking hilarious. He's looking like Jackie Moon. Yeah, Wiseman, I could really care either way. But I know I love the league when Clay's back. Clay's an electric player. Just hopefully he doesn't torch the Celtics this year. No, do you have any more thoughts on any more Celtics related thoughts or anything else NBA related?
Funny. We're not heading to the Staples Center. We're heading to cryptocurrency.com.
Oh, that name like immediately happened. I thought that was like happening later on.
Yeah, you might be right. It's probably still the Staples Center.
I don't know. I know it's like weird. Like I thought it was like starting at the like beginning of next season. I feel like they usually do mid-year switches, or maybe it's like on January 1st or something. I don't know.
I think it was the start of the new year.
Yeah.
But regardless,
people were really
funny.
People were really up in arms about that. Like
Yeah.
like the word like it was it's the same building. It's not like they're tearing down the building, but people were
Right.
like Staples was such like
A staple.
an important name. Yeah, I know. I didn't want to say that. Like such an important name. It's like, dude, it's an office supply
Right.
chain
And it's
store. So
literally
it's
just
like,
marketing. Like they got a
yeah,
better offer to call it that, and it brought the team more money. Like
I think they should call. A lot of people have been saying they should call it the Crypt, which I think is kind of cool. No, but yeah, I don't know why people were like so like acting like they're like basically tearing it down just by changing the name. And it's like, okay, like that's how. It's not that weird to change a name. It's not like an iconic name. Like I get that a lot of things have happened at Staples Center, but it's not like
right.
it's been the home to LA like since like the 80s when they like started winning like all those championships. Like it's
Right.
really been just kind of a fairly recent name, fairly recently named. I believe it was like 2002 or 2003 got the name.
Some rich dude
But
with the last name Staple. Like it's not that meaningful.
I really don't think his last name is Staple.
I just was guessing.
I mean, like I know that's how they usually name a lot of businesses, but I feel like an office supply company named Staples, I thought maybe they just kind of made staples first and sold staples and staplers. That's how my idea of it, but maybe I'm wrong. No, I can't think of anything else. I'm sure probably missing something, but I don't have anything else written down. So, yeah,
Cool.
so we'll find some lines for the LA game. We might bet some. I'm doing terrible so far in my bets this year, but
I'm looking at
I get
second.
really close, which is I feel like just even worse. Okay,
All
well,
right. Well, let's
we'll
beat
talk to you
LA.
guys. Yeah, beat LA. Talk to you next week.